Okay, children, very good morning. Welcome to the Kakatiya e-classes. For botany, first year English medium already yesterday we discussed about the syllabus and also we discussed about the examination pattern. So now today onwards we are going to start the syllabus. So already yesterday when I informed you, 7 units, 13 chapters are there. So first unit, diversity in the living world. So from the first unit, first chapter is the living world. So today we are going to discuss about the first chapter, that is the living world. Okay, what is the first chapter? The living world. So here, what is living? Before going to start the first chapter, what is the first chapter? The living world. Okay, what is living? What is living? What is living? What is living? So here, already you have learnt in that previous classes. So what are the differences between living things and non-living things? Based on what characters we can separate living things from non-living things. So what is living? So what are the characters living things are? So what characters are present in living things? What are the characters not appear in non-living things? So based on that common characters, we came to know what are the living things and what are the non-living things. So living things having some common characters. For example, growth. For example, growth. Growth is a common character of the living things. This is not appearing in non-living things. So living things having some common characters. The first character is the growth. Second one is reproduction. Second one is reproduction. Third one is metabolism. Third one is metabolism. And fourth one is sense to their surroundings. Fourth one is sense to their surroundings. Sense to their surroundings. Sense to their surroundings. And fifth character is interactions. 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 Fifth character is the interactions. So these are the common characters of the living things. Based on these common characters, we can separate living things from the non-living things. So first character is growth. So already you know that living things grow. Growth we can see particularly in the living things. For example, if you see in multicellular organisms, all the multicellular organisms that can grow by the process of cell division. By the process of cell division. By the process of cell division, all the multicellular organisms that may grow by the process of cell division. And also you can see, for example, in the plants by the process of cell division, they can grow throughout its lifespan. Plants that can grow continuously, but animals that can grow up to a particular age only. So by the process of cell division, plants that can grow continuously throughout its lifespan, but animals that can grow up to a particular period only. So what about non-living things? If you see the non-living things, okay, piece of chalk, duster, benches, books, chairs, these are all the non-living things. So we can't see growth in the non-living things. So growth is possible only in living things. It is not possible in non-living things. So whereas the plants that can grow throughout its lifespan by the process of cell division, and also all the multicellular organisms that can grow by the process of cell division. But one difference is there here. Plants that can grow continuously throughout its lifespan, but animals that can grow up to a particular period only. After they reach the particular period, their growth process has been stopped. So this is the first character, growth. This is the first character of the living things. Now the second character, reproduction. So with the help of the reproduction, living things they can increase their population. Because of the reproduction, the organisms able to produce copies of the offsprings. With the help of reproduction, the organisms that can produce the offsprings which are similar to the parent one. So that is the reproduction process that is very useful for improvement of the population of the organisms. So it is possible only in living things, reproduction. It is not possible in non-living things. So here already you have learned in the lower classes, you have learned in the previous classes, the reproduction process, that is mainly the two types of the reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is also called vegetative propagation, especially some modes of asexual reproduction methods already you have learned. So some asexual modes of reproduction methods, here you can see one is the fission, second one is the another one is the budding, and fragmentation, okay, parthenogenesis and parthenocarping, and regeneration. So these are all the asexual modes of reproduction methods. So whereas in that sexual reproduction there is a fusion of male and female gametes and formation of the zygote. Okay, that is the sexual reproduction method which you have learnt in the previous classes. So the reproduction process which is possible only in living things. It is not possible in non-living things. Whereas you can see in that chairs, benches. So in that we can't see the reproduction process. So this is the second character of the living things. First one is growth, second one is reproduction. Now coming to the third one, metabolism. Metabolism means some of the chemical reactions which are carried out in the living organisms. The chemical reactions which are carried out in the living organisms, the chemical reactions are nothing but metabolism. So many metabolic activities are going on in living organisms. These metabolic activities are compulsory for the survival of the organisms. So these metabolic activities are also called life process. Some important life processes are there. For example, photosynthesis, respiration, digestion, excretion. These are all the important metabolic activities which are necessary for the survival of the organism. So these metabolism process we can see only in living things which we can't see in non-living things. So this is the third character of the living things. What is the third character? Metabolism. Now what is the metabolism? The total chemical reactions which are carried out in the living things. The chemical reactions are nothing but metabolism or metabolic activities. These metabolic activities are also called life process, which are essential for survival of the organism. Without the metabolic activities, the living things that cannot survive. So many metabolic activities are there. For example, photosynthesis, respiration, digestion, excretion, transportation. These are all the metabolic activities which are very essential. So now coming to the fourth character now, sensitive surroundings. Compulsory living things that can show response towards the external changes. Living things compulsory that can show response to the external changes. Each stimuli having one response. So living things compulsory that can show the response to the external changes. For example, unfortunately, if you touch a hard bone, immediately we can withdraw our hands. Suppose unfortunately, if you step a sharp object, immediately we can lift the feet. So these are all the examples shows towards the response about the external changes. So we are showing responses to the external changes. Plants also, they can show the responses towards the light, they can show a response towards the temperature. Plants also, they can show response towards the pressure. The best example, touch-me-not plant. If you touch the leaves of the touch-me-not plant, immediately the leaves may folded. So that is the response towards the external changes. So that is the sensitive to the surroundings. So it is possible only in living things. Living things only that can show a response to their surroundings. Living things only that can sense to their surroundings. It is not possible in non-living things. Okay, this is the fourth character of the living things. Now fifth character are interactions. There are so many interactions carried out between the molecules present in the cell. So these interactions are very useful for proper functioning of the organs. So there should be some interactions. These interactions are very useful for proper functioning of the organs. So based on these 5 characters, we can separate the living things from non-living things. Based on these characters, so we came to know what are the living things and what are the non-living things. Okay, so these 5 characters you can remind. First one is growth, second one is reproduction, third one is metabolism, fourth one is sensitive surroundings, fifth one is interactions. So these 5 important characters, all the living things possess these 5 important characters. Based on these characters, we came to know what is living and what is non-living. Okay, so here, okay, next in the subtopic. So what is diversity? Diversity in the living world. There are so many different types of the plants and animals present in nature. So that is nothing but the diversity. So the diversity is a symbol of nature. Biodiversity is a symbol of nature. Why? Because there are different types of the plants, different types of the animals are there in nature, which are very essential. Some are very rare species are there. So compulsory we have to protect the each and every organism, which is essential. So next the subtopic is identification and nomenclature. The next subtopic is identification and nomenclature. Identification and nomenclature. Okay, next subtopic is identification and nomenclature. So you know that in our surroundings so many plants and animals are there. Each plant and animal having their separate local names. In our surroundings so many plants and animals are there, but each plant and animal having a particular local name. So these local names are very different from place to place within the country. These local names are different. For example, if you go to one particular place, the particular organism is called with a particular name. So each and every organism having their local names. So the local names are different from place to place. So it leads to a lot of confusion. These local names leads to lots of confusion. So there is a need to standardize the name of the living organism. Each organism is known with a particular name which is similar to the worldwide. So otherwise there is a lot of confusion. The local names creates a lot of confusion. So each and every organism that should be identified, that should having a particular name which is similar to throughout the world. So the naming of identification and the naming of particular organism which is similar to the worldwide, so that is nothing but a nomenclature. So that is nothing but nomenclature. So each organism having a particular name which is similar throughout the world. So that is nothing but nomenclature. So this nomenclature provides the scientific name for the identified organism. These nomenclatures provide the scientific names. These nomenclatures provide the scientific name. These nomenclatures provide the scientific name to the identified organisms. So for plants, these scientific names are based on agreed principles. These scientific names which were provided by the ICBN. The scientific names which were provided by the ICBN. What is meant by ICBN? ICBN means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Code for Biological Nomenclature or Botanical Nomenclature. ICBN stands for International Code for Biological Nomenclature. Okay. ICBN. So for plants, these scientific names are based on agreed principles which were provided by the ICBN. What is meant by ICBN? ICBN means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. ICBN stands for International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Okay. So sometimes for very short question purpose, they may ask. Okay, expand ICBN. ICBN means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Okay. So according to the ICBN, each scientific name included two components. According to the ICBN, each scientific name included with two components. Each scientific name having two components. So the one is genus, another name is species. One is genus, another name is species. So each scientific name, according to the ICBN, each scientific name included two components. One is genus, another one is species. So the system which provides a name with two components, the system which provides name with two components, so that is called binomial nomenclature. So binomial nomenclature. What is binomial nomenclature? The name included with two components. The system which provides a name with two components. So the name included, the name having two components. One is genus, another one is species. So that type of the system, so that type of the nomenclature is called binomial nomenclature. So that type of the nomenclature is called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. So the system which provide a name with two components. What are the two components? The first one is the genus, the second one is the species. So the scientific name included two components. The first one is genus, second one is species. So this type of the nomenclature is called binomial nomenclature, which was introduced by the scientist Carolus Linnaeus. You can remember the scientist name also. This binomial nomenclature, which was introduced by the scientist Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, Carolus Linnaeus invented the binomial nomenclature. According to the binomial nomenclature, each scientific name included with two components. First one is the genus, second one is the species. So this is called the binomial nomenclature. Examination package also So many times they asked for short question purpose. So this is the binomial nomenclature. So what are the rules? Some universal rules are there for nomenclature. So what are the some common universal rules for nomenclature? So we are going to discuss about the what are the universal rules for nomenclature. For nomenclature, we need some rules. So what are the rules we are going to discuss now? See here, some universal rules for nomenclature. Some universal rules for nomenclature. Universal rules for nomenclature. Okay. So what are the rules for nomenclature? Okay. Already you know that according to the ICBN, for plants scientific names are based on agreed principles which were provided by the ICBN, means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. So here what are the rules? Some rules are there while writing the scientific names. Okay, that are the universally acceptable rules. So the first rule is biological names are generally in Latin language and are written in italics. First rule is biological names are generally in Latin language and are written in italics and are written in italics. This is the first rule while writing the biological names according to the ICBN. Here some universally acceptable rules are there. What is the first rule? Biological names are generally in Latin and are written in italics. So this is the first rule for the nomenclature. So biological names are in Latin and are written in italics. So second one, the first word in the biological name represents the genus. The first word in the biological name represents represents genus. The first word represents genus. Second word represents species. Second word the first word represents the genus and the second word represent species. Okay, this is the second one. First word represents the genus, second word represents the species. Third rule, both words in the biological name with handwritten that are separately underlined. Okay, what is the third rule? Both words in biological name while handwritten that are separately underlined. Okay, what is the third rule? Both words when handwritten, both words while handwritten are separately underlined. If you written the both words, after that you should draw separate lines. Okay, under the genus name you should draw a separate line, under the species name also you should draw a separate line. So both words while handwritten that are separately underlined. Both words while handwritten separately underlined. Okay, this is the third rule of the nomenclature. Okay, next the fourth rule. Okay, now coming to the fourth rule. So the first letter of the genus name The genus name starts with capital letter. Genus name starts with capital letter. Genus name starts with capital letter. While the species name starts with small letter. 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 So this is the fourth rule. Okay. If you want to write the scientific name, species name, genus name must start with capital letter. Species name must start with small letter. So this is the fourth rule. Now coming to the last rule, fifth rule. After written the scientific name, author name also you should write at the end of the species name. After written of the species name, you should write the author name. Author name which is written in the abbreviated form. For example, here one example here given. So author name you should written at the end of the species name. So that author name represents the species which was described by the particular author, particular scientist. So this is the fifth rule. You should write the author name at the end of the species name in abbreviated form. You should not write the full name of the author. You should write of the author name in abbreviated form. So that author name indicates the species are first introduced by the particular author, particular scientist. So for example, here again one example. For example, the scientific name of mango tree. Here one example given in textbook. Scientific name of mango tree, that is Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica. That is the scientific name of mango tree, Mangifera indica. See here, this is the genus name, this is the species name, this is the genus, this is the species. So after the species name, what I said now? After the species name, you should write the scientist name or you should write the author name in abbreviated form. Here you can see abbreviated form. LINA means Linnaeus. Okay, the scientist name you should write in abbreviated form after the species name. Here are written the abbreviated form LINA. Lin means Linnaeus. Linnaeus, the scientist Linnaeus. So the Linnaeus introduced the species, he described the species for the first time. So these are the 5 rules. See one example also here. With the help of the example also, we can explain these rules of the nomenclature. See here, this is the scientific name of mango tree, Mangifera indica. Okay, here 2 components are there. Each scientific name having 2 components. Here the first component is Mangifera, second component is indica. What we call the first component? Genus. What we call the second component? Species. And one more thing, the genus name starts with capital letter. Here you can see M capital letter. And as well as the species name starts with a small letter. Here in the species name the starting word is I. Already I written with a small letter. So after written to the species name, here we should write the scientist name or author name in abbreviated form. Here I written the abbreviated form of the scientist Linnaeus. Okay. So this indicates the scientist Linnaeus invented the species first time. So these are the universally acceptable rules for the nomenclature. Okay. So this is about the today's topic. Today we have learnt about the what are the characters of the living things, and also today we discussed about the abbreviation of ICBN. What are the rules which we have to follow while writing the scientific names. Here we discussed about the 5 rules with example. So in this today's class we discussed these topics. So then in tomorrow class we are able to discuss what is the taxonomy, what are the classification levels. Everything we will discuss in next class. Okay, thank you children.